The Governments of Chelm, Mismanaging the Shtetl, Chapters 1 through 6. 1. Introduction. Legendary Chelm is a shtetl located somewhere between the Russian Pale of Settlement and the northeastern provinces of Poland. To imagine a shtetl, think of Fiddler on the Roof, or the stories of Shalom Aleichem on which the musical is based, part market town, part peasant village. Apart from a small number of successful businessmen living on the outskirts and more concerned with their affairs in Lublin, Moscow, or Warsaw than with life in this dilapidated hamlet, everyone is desperately poor. Indeed, Chelm is so poor that most of its inhabitants make a living by clawing their way up the walls. Although the rest of the world, Jews and non-Jews alike, laugh at their folly, Chelm's inhabitants are very proud of their great tradition of wisdom, embodied in the persons of the dozen or so rabbis of distinguished genealogy and credentials. These form the Council of the Wise Elders. This council meets irregularly, though frequently at times of major political and economic crises, to put their stamp of authority on resolutions of religious controversies, to debate thorny legal matters, or to sit around telling each other stories. Owing to its peculiar status as a legendary shtetl, Chelm is always able to produce on demand at least one representative of every stock figure of Ashkenazic life. Rabbis, shadchins, or matchmakers, chazans, cantors, moyals, circumcisers, molamids, wandering tutors, megids, revivalist preachers, shochets, or kosher butchers, yantas, female busybodies, schnorrers, beggars, ganefs, thieves, schlemiels, or clumsy fools, schlemazels, luckless fools, and so on. Several of these appear in the pages of this story. There are even some scientists in Chelm, the evidence for which is given by this classic fable. It had been assumed for so many centuries that a dropped slice of toast always lands butter size down, and this conclusion had come to be taken for granted. During the Enlightenment, everything was called into question, and this was no exception. From his studies at the University of Krakow, a student had learned about Galileo's experiment when the great physicist dropped objects of various weights from the Leaning Tower of Pisa to demonstrate that all things travel at the same speed in free fall. The student suggested to the council that the buttered toast theory be tested in a similar fashion. Witnesses to the experiment included two rabbis, one a skeptic, the other a believer. The student buttered a slice of toast, lifted it off the table, and released it. Sure enough, when it collided with the floor, the buttered side was down. "I rest my case," said the rabbi, who had never doubted the wisdom of the old saying. "Aha," retorted the skeptic. He buttered the wrong side. 2. The Council of the Wise Elders. On a morning around the turn of the century, the exact century being immaterial, the wise elders of Chelm met in the assembly rooms above the Talmud Torah to determine the form of government most suitable for Chelm. Chelm, if one can imagine it, didn't even have a mayor. Without a mayor, Chelm wasn't a city. It wasn't a town. It wasn't a village. It wasn't even Chelm. And since one couldn't expect the mayor to come from somewhere else, he had to be a resident, didn't he? Accordingly, when a local well-to-do businessman, one Chaim the cattle merchant, offered himself for the post, he was as good as inducted on the spot. Just before the vote was taken, that would have confirmed him, an objection occurred to Rabbi Lefkowitz. "If Chaim is a citizen of Chelm at the same time its mayor, to my mind there's a conflict of interest. Others he obliges to obey his laws, but if he doesn't want to obey his own law, so he changes it." A room filled with such learned sages can easily understand that it is no more possible for a citizen to be his own ruler than it is for a servant to be his own master. Let's not get lost in abstractions. Although Chaim as the mayor can punish Moshe the Nevish for stealing blintzes? Who punishes Chaim for watering milk? Nobody spoke for quite some time. Then Rabbi Yankel said, I have a solution. Chelm needs 2 mayors. Someone who also rules Chaim. I propose we appoint another rich man, Yitzhak, owner of the shoe factory. But Reb Yankel, how can a master of erudition like yourself propose such a thing? Who rules Yitzhak? Chaim? Who else? The decision to appoint Chaim as mayor was therefore postponed until the next meeting, when the proposal to appoint Yitzhak as well could be properly debated. 3. A question of logic. At the next convening of the council, Rabbi Sobel arose to announce that he had discovered a fallacy in Rabbi Yankel's logic. That's all very well and good, he observed, but if one of our ordinary citizens has a complaint, to whom does he go, Chaim or Yitzhak? The wise elders gave the matter their serious consideration. Eventually they decided that people with complaints would go to Chaim. And what if somebody was to complain against Chaim? Then he should go to Yitzhak. That's all very well and good, countered Rabbi Sobel, who was always using this expression. But suppose Yitzhak himself has a complaint. To whom does he go? Answer me that. Well, that's such a simple question, retorted Rabbi Yankel, that I marvel at the ignorance of someone who could raise it. Now look, if someone has a complaint which doesn't involve Chaim, he goes to Chaim. If he wants to complain about Chaim, well, he goes to Yitzhak. And if Yitzhak himself has a complaint, well, he comes to us.